Gerre, Heron, HomeSmart Elite Group. Let's talk housing and homes with a quick update on what's happening in the real estate market in Phoenix. And I know there's lots of questions and lots of rumors, a lot of predictions about housing bubbles and crashes and what have you. So let's explore that a little bit. So I had the privilege of being at the HomeSmart Elite Group luncheon yesterday, and Tina Tamborn from the Crumpet Report was the guest speaker, and Tina and the Crumpet Report are really the last word in real estate statistics, and not necessarily predictions, because Tina will tell you she doesn't have a crystal ball. She's not a soothsayer. She's not going to make those predictions. But what she is doing is looking at hard data and comparing it, and then and being able to sort of lay a map of what may happen in the next few months, maybe 6 months, maybe a year. So we need to go back to figure out where we were to understand how we are in this market. Now, appreciate, of course, that Arizona was one of the hardest hit states in the housing crash, starting in 2005, and then probably at the lowest point was in 2011. It was also one of the first states to recover. Now, in 2011, there was no building. The housing market was devastated. A lot of the contractors and people who would be building left the state. There's no employment. They're not going to hang around. Now, it seemed to me that in the last few years, this is 2021, that everyone all of a sudden decided they didn't like winter, they didn't like snow, and all of a sudden they seemed to discover Arizona. And if you can afford a second home, you can have a life without winters. So we had a very quick recovery. We ended up in 2019 in a frenzy market. And to understand how they term the markets, we start off with cold, and then warm, then hot, frenzy, and then insane. So we were in a frenzy market 2018, certainly at the end of 2019. So we were in a great position. But what happened was that we ended up with low inventory. And I certainly know that I was in a situation with buyers going into Fountain Hills, and we would go to an open house on a Saturday. There were 5 agents in front of me, there were 5 agents behind me, and before we walked out the door, they were already under contract. And those particular clients, we ended up in Apache Junction, and they're very happy in their home. And of course, the timing, quite frankly, couldn't have been any better. We've also seen, it's not just about the weather, we've seen issues in other states where the taxes are high, the property prices are high. Certainly there's not a very positive business community. You've seen lots of big businesses like Tesla leaving, for instance, California, and Californians have been moving to Arizona for the last few years, not just in 20 and 21, and certainly they've been moving to Texas. So that was our situation when COVID hit. And so we're in a frenzy market. All of a sudden we were like, is there any market at all? And I ended up carrying on with my buyers, with separate cars, using alcohol, what have you. We took all the sort of unnecessary precautions. So 2020 was actually a very, very good year for me. What we're seeing in the Valley at the moment is what I would call rental rescues. We've got a rental crisis up and coming. So we had a moratorium on rents that expired end of June, and it was extended. Now it's expiring end of July, and there's an awful lot of renters who are being squeezed out of the market. So I had a closing this year, what I consider a rental rescue, and this was someone who had been in a rental position for a long time. Got initially very frustrated with our searches with the home buying, thought I'm just going to go and find another apartment, and then saw what was available and that he couldn't afford it. And quite frankly, if he hadn't gotten into this home, he probably would not have been in the housing market at all. So he's in, and I'm under contract with another one that I consider a rental rescue. There was an article I posted a few days ago of a local Phoenix chef, not an artist, probably out with his food, who came home to a notice on his door telling him that his rent was going up $400. And of course, it makes it unaffordable for him. He's got car payments, he's got student loan debt. And so basically what we're seeing with renters is they're downsizing. They're looking for smaller places. With the low inventory, and understand with Phoenix that we've seen in Europe, we're constantly comparing it to the housing crash. In 2005, the market was doing this, okay? It was a crazy market. There was a lot of malfeasance. the market in Phoenix with the recovery has been doing this. So, you know, we're not looking to do exactly the same as we did in 2005. And 2005 is really the most comparable. So we're looking at statistics, what is happening, what is moving, what is selling. And if you are, and we're in a seller's market, if you are a seller, the first 6 months of this year was really dump your junk. If you really had a property that was not the easiest to sell, the first 6 months was your time to sell, and we're moving out of that market. My advice to my buyers who were very nervous about this market was to wait for the first and maybe second quarter of the year to see what's happening. One, we had a contested election. We are now going into an inflation situation. We are incredible rise in lumber prices. Of course, the new builds are exceedingly expensive. And so what we're all finding is that we're coming out of an insane market and we're going down into a more stable market for sellers. So for the next 6 months for sellers, you will find that there's more inventory out there, and sellers, if you're looking for those crazy listing prices, you're probably going to be sitting on the market a little longer than you wish for. So it's good news for the buyers. And, quite frankly, buyers, if you are buying in a seller market, chances are you are going into an equity position with your new home. Of course, if you were in a buyer's market, you would probably see a downturn in the equity and value of your home for a few years before it recovered. So that is the good news. So I guess in summary, for the sellers, the crazy market is really coming to an end. And I think, quite frankly, for both buyers and sellers, it's much more comfortable being in a market that we can predict. For buyers, there's going to be more inventory on the market. And I would say to buyers, the one thing that people always dismiss is the value of an agent. So you would hear this all the time. Buyers will say, well, I can't compete with cash. And, when you're having multiple offers, the seller or the seller's agent is going to look at certainly cash offer, and then it's going to be a conventional loan, and then FHA, and then VA, and absolutely, cash is king. But often that you will find that, cash buyers are much more demanding. They're not also easy to work with. And the benefit of having a great agent is an agent that can communicate with the seller's agent. And it's a little bit like playing poker. You always think as a buyer in this market that you're at a complete disadvantage. Well, you both got dealt, a hand of cards, and so it's not all stacked in the seller side. And of course, the seller's agent is also nervous that they are going to find a buyer, and they are going to find a good buyer, and they're going to find a good buyer in a timely way. They're also concerned that that agent has qualified the buyer and can take them through the whole process to close of escrow. So you can imagine you accept an offer, you go on to contract, you have the inspection, and all of a sudden you're at an impasse because you have very, very difficult cash buyers who are, here's an old AC unit. This is very, very typical. People are concerned about AC unit, the age of the roof, and all of a sudden they wanting the seller to replace a 20-year-old AC. Well, the seller no longer has equity in that AC, so why would they pay for something that they're not going to be able to use? And you have an impasse, and all of a sudden they withdraw from the contract. Well, you're 4 weeks into that, so you are putting it back on the market. No one wants to put it back on the market. You've lost 4 weeks. And there's also the chance that you've stigmatized the property. And we always feel in real estate that we almost have like a 30-day sell-by date. If you haven't sold in the 30-day, people are going to start asking, what's wrong with the property. So it is not stacked all in the favor of the seller. And I would say that, an agent, a buyer's agent who can get in front of a seller's agent, get their attention. And what I have done is I've, text share all my contact information. And it's all linked, everything in there that they can find out about me is there. I've even in a position where I've done a very quick personal video and said to the agent, I'm a great agent, I'm experienced, I'm a great communicator, there won't be any delay with documents, and I will, make sure that we go all the way to close of escrow. I've also, picked up the phone negotiating and said to the seller's agent, what do I need? What do your clients need for me to be top of your list? And when you're getting, as we were in 2020, 20 offers on a property. Now we're into, over 100 offers on a property. Finding out, getting the attention, getting that seller's agent to know who you are, having a conversation. I can't tell you how many agents who, when I've had a listing, will send me the 2 required documents that you need for a valid contract: a purchase contract and a pre-qualification. No preamble, nothing about them. They're literally out of the blue and basically a cold client or a cold agent. So you have no rapport with them. You have no idea how great they are. And I can think of one of the agents that sent me the documents, and the name spelling, the seller's name spelling, was different on the both documents. So already we have a problem to start off with, and that had to be sorted out. So one of the properties that I had, and I knew the franchise company and knew it was going to be professional, reached out to him and said, what do I need to make this my client? So agents don't do that, and I don't understand quite why they do that. It almost feels like it's sort of secret service, like there are certain boundaries you don't do. And it's like, no, I have clients who really want to get into the home. They're stuck in an Airbnb. It's a very, very hot summer. What do I need? And they were speaking to him. They were greatly qualified. 20% down, conventional loan, very low maintenance clients. They love this home, of course, and they say, well, I want this close of escrow date. And I would say, well, actually, I would have given you 2 weeks sooner, because I work with a great title and escrow company, and we've already had that conversation. And then they would say, well, they're moving to Payson, for example, and they want a 3-day post-occupancy occupation rental, no rental fees. And I had already done that with my client with a different offer. So I knew they would accept it. And so I thought, right, okay, well, how about this price? Well, I was $10,000 lower than their highest offer. The difference was that buyer wouldn't agree to the close of escrow dates and wouldn't agree to their post-occupancy agreement. My clients are very happy in that home, and my God, the timing couldn't have been better for them, what we've seen in this market. So going forward, there's going to be much more inventory on here. As far as the new builds and crazy lumber prices, there are a couple of things that are happening in technology and in the industry that I think are very excited. First of all, Arizona has a lot of land. We don't have a lot of water, as we've seen with the last 2 years with drought and a low monsoon. So water, I think, quite frankly, if I'm going to make any prediction in the future, is going to be like gold. Water is going to be a very precious commodity, very valuable commodity. So anywhere that you go, you need to be concerned about that if you are buying land and if you're going to do a new build. So as far as on the lumber side, how do you get around it? Well, 3D printing technology. And I know that sounds crazy. And I'm one of those people that when I first heard about the World Wide Web and all this information you could gather, I was like, why do you need all this information? And boy, was I wrong. It's totally changed our life. And I was the same with 3D technology. I'm like, what is this? What are you printing? Well, here it is. And I will put a link, and here is an article of a 3D house, and it is all concrete, and it is driven by technology. You've designed it on the computer, and here is a machine that's actually building the house, and in a very short space of time, and at affordable prices. So that's going to make a big difference. And one of the things that we found with COVID and people changing their attitudes to their homes and their living space, and being on lockdown, well, all of a sudden you have a parent or an adult child that's maybe living in the same city but not with you, and all of a sudden you can't get to see them. So there was this desire, well, let's batten down the hatches, let's bring our family back together. Well, we don't necessarily want to live on top of each other. So a casita has become gold. You've seen that in listings, people looking for casitas. Now, there's a startup company that I'm very, very excited about called BOXABL. And again, I will put a link in today. And I've just found out this morning that my offer of buying shares in this company has been accepted. And I'm very excited because I sort of feel that I missed out on buying Apple Inc. shares. And you know what's happened with Apple Inc. shares. And I'm not making a prediction or I'm giving you financial advice, but I'm jumping on board. And one of the things that I was excited about this, again, there's no lumber, and I am a multiple chemical sensitive sufferer. So MCS, I live fragrance free. I react, or my body overreacts to anything fragrance, petroleum byproducts, chemicals. And, so houses that have, have off-gassing, who have, toxic glues and things like that, which is in lumber, is a problem. And there is a growing amount of environmentally damaged people. So I was very excited about Blue Sky Building System, which is, glass and concrete and galvanized steel. And here we have this startup company focusing first on casitas. What made it a little more exciting was that they had this sort of secret celebrity client who found out about it, jumped in, and got them to produce the first casita for him. And this is a company where literally the house folds into a box, can go on a flatbed truck, and not like the factory-built wooden houses that were too large to go on a normal road. This isn't. And who is that celebrity customer? It's Elon Musk of Tesla. And the little casita, first casita, is at SpaceX, and he is actually apparently living in this house. So I think this is very, very exciting, because I think it means, and this is all under $500,000 for this 900 square casita. And they have lots of ideas for expanding it into all sorts of designs, but they're controlling it, and to start off with and make sure that they can get up and running. So as far as, if you were in Phoenix and you were looking for a property and it didn't have a casita, here's a perfect opportunity. If you have the land, get the permits, put it in there. So it's not all doom and gloom for the market. I would say to you, again, use an agent. I am seeing that there is negotiation with commissions, and particularly on the sales side. And I think that's, maybe harsh to say hubris, but certainly their enthusiasm and confidence for the selling market. Like, well, we really want this extreme selling price, and we also want to take the profit. And well, if it's going to sell, why do I need an agent? You do need an agent. And I would say to any agent out there, it's it is negotiable by law. It's negotiable, and you should negotiate it. I think we're going. There's going to be more inventory and more stable market. I think lots of opportunity. I think be patient. I think the next 6 months of this year are going to be much easier. And if buyers take advantage of the Arizona heat, people don't like looking for homes in this heat. So this is the perfect time. At the same time, they don't like looking for homes in the holiday. So don't be discouraged. I think it's a much more interesting and stable market coming out there. So good luck with the market, and be well. Enjoy the summer. Thank you.